World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. Tony Rogers here, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. I hope all is well. It's a little rainy, but it could be worse. It could be snowing, so I'm sure that we're blessed. And when you get a little older, you'll know that every day is a good day. And speaking of getting older, we have today a show that's really announcing a project that the Harlem Tourism Board and Boomers in Tech, which is an organization that helps teach seniors like myself how to use their cell phones and the like. It was a grant sponsored by the Citizens Committee to create sessions that we can work with seniors. And the location that Boomers in Tech had been working with in Harlem was Vista on 5th. So we had our first interesting session today. Matter of fact, some seniors were helping me, do some things. But we have as our guest today the life enrichment supervisor, Liliana Ruta, and Kia Rogers. You probably, I don't think she remembers when she was in the studio many, many years ago when she made that WHCR recording. Now she's 23 and probably going to ask for residuals or something. But please welcome Leanna and Kia Rogers.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. And so, Kia, do you remember when you did that? No, I'm sure you didn't, because you were a little one. But
Maybe I was. I like
it. Just goes to show you how grateful I am for Soul City. WHCR is at the City College of New York. And during the pandemic, we couldn't go into the studios. So Matt McCoy was kind enough to allow for us to do the WACR 90.3 FM show virtually. So as we speak now, there's another radio show, which I record on Mondays, that's playing another show for WACR for people who are not looking at this. So it's kind of an interesting thing. We receive so many different viewers when we started doing this. We decided not to stop. So now I have double work that I do, producing two shows. But I am happy that we're in. We had an interesting session. This, again, program sponsored by the Citizens Committee was to help seniors um, understand how to use their phone. And I must tell you, some of the seniors were helping me use my phone. But Leanna, tell us a little bit about yourself and Vista on Fifth and how you were able to be where you are now.
Yeah, so this on Fifth is an assisted living in East Harlem. We're between 107th and 108th on Fifth Ave. So it's great. The view from the dining room, the 14th floor, is fantastic, and you can overlook the top of the park. It's great. I stepped into the role as the Life Enrichment Director about 2.5, 3 months ago. I've worked at Vista on Fifth for almost 2 years now, and I started as marketing and media in that department. And I decided to join the assisted living was when I was in high school. I used to volunteer at nursing homes, and I used to volunteer as like the assistant director for the activities. And I loved it. I just loved connecting with the residents. I loved getting to hear their life stories. And I realized that it made me feel like really good coming into the building and getting to like meet all of them and like hear about their lives and hear about like their wants and things like that. And they also give really good advice too, so that's great. So then working now in an assisted living facility, which we're only one of 5 in Manhattan, which is crazy. And we are one of 2 that take Medicare and Medicaid. So we're a non-for-profit, and the other 3 assisted livings in Manhattan are for-profit. So it's really cool, and it's really rewarding to see how we can accommodate for these seniors and accommodate also in East Harlem. So yeah.
And what's the age of the age range? I mean, I know it goes over, on the other end, but how old do you have to be to actually get in?
So you have to be at around 60 to 65. With
Mhm.
admissions, it's need based. But yeah, so it starts pretty fairly young. I would like to say 65 is a good age.
Mhm.
We don't limit for how old. We've had
Mhm.
residents who actually were in their hundreds. 105 was our oldest resident in this facility, yes.
Mhm.
And we have been in East Harlem for a really long time. We used to be lot residences, but during COVID, we changed to Vista on Fifth.
Mhm. And Kia, tell us a little bit about you since you made that commercial many years ago. What are you doing now? And besides being a director of this program for HDB?
Yeah, I'm just getting out of undergraduate at Skidmore College, where I studied psychology and art history. Um, I grew up working with the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, which is how I got affiliated with that little gig that I heard a few minutes ago. And yeah, right now I'm helping out with this collaborative project that we're doing.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the directors, you and Richard Adolfo, who had another appointment, but Richard is actually the CEO of Boomers in Tech. And hopefully, I know he's been having some problems, but Reggie Taylor, we're going to try to see can we get him on because Reggie Taylor is putting together a wonderful e-newsletter that will have, actually it has about 20 pages on it. It's a lot of stuff, history and the like. And one of the sections will be boomers in tech, to begin to create ways, and hopefully we'll be able to experiment with this project, which is 8 sessions. We just had one today, so there's 7 more. And towards the end of it, we might be able to have 1 or 2 of the residents talk about their experiences in Harlem, or if they get to Harlem, or where they came from, and now that they're in Harlem, what their thoughts are. So it's an interesting situation. We are in an age, and we were just talking about this, where technology moves so fast that once you learn something, you have to relearn, because what you learned is kind of obsolete. Uh, Kia, what was your experience today with some of the young people? I mean, yeah, I guess I should say young people, because I was older than a couple of them, but some of the seniors that you were working with.
It was nice to see how grateful they were for understanding concepts that a lot of people my age tend to just take for granted, since my generation grew into technology. Those are the types of skills that we were learning during the same time that we were building our worldviews. So technology and how we perceive our social reality were somewhat intertwined. So collaborating with people that like experience a gap between those two things was a really interesting experience. And it was very rewarding to see how happy they were to learn new skills.
And one of the things that I was an observer, and I was trying to learn too. If I wasn't going away, I would be one of the students in the class. But the people are interested in trying to understand certain things, and they want to understand them right now. they, they want to be able to. I got it. And there was an experience today which you guys handled well. There was a lady who was deaf, and there was a young man from Columbia University, because we were working with young people and somewhat older. Like I told Kia, you're older now, so to help, and they were working out how she could use her phone to do a recording because she couldn't hear, and how to do text and the like. And Kia, you worked on another uh, project with a young. I keep saying young lady, but a lady who had her laptop. And I think she had to get it connected or something like that. And if I'm not mistaken, there was another lady who had about 5 old laptops that she wanted to see which one could work. And I think you took the serial number to try to get her a charger for it. And it was sad, because there was another lady who went upstairs to get all of her computers, but by the time she got them all and came down, the session was over. And she's like, "I told you I'll be back in 10 minutes. That's not, I'm sorry, but we'll be back, or you guys will be back." So it is rewarding. But I know that they can be very demanding. I know that I've noticed that too, Liliana. You gotta, patience is a virtue.
That's what I say all the time. Yeah.
But now, again, and I think that I heard correctly, you take Medicaid and so if I'm a senior, if I'm 65 and I have insurance, I might have an opportunity to be at your location. And tell the listeners some of the things that the seniors are able to experience. I know you guys were putting up a Christmas tree. Did you ever get that? Because a couple of seniors came
Yes.
in and said the tree is in the wrong place. Did you ever get that
Yes.
straight?
Yes. So even if you're not Medicare and Medicaid, we do accept some private pay residents. Again, that's more admissions, but if you feel as if you're interested, definitely call the Psalm 5th. But yeah, so a lot of activities that we have here, I love to treat them like adults because they are adults. So we did wine tasting last week, but it was
Wow.
non-alcoholic wine, so it was all things that they were able to have because obviously with everyone's different medication needs, I can't give them alcohol. But placebo effect is a real thing, so some of them had a lot of fun. Yes. A lot of the activities, because we're in such a prime location in East Harlem, we're right at the top of the park. We're also right by the City Museum of New York. So we go down there a lot, and on 104th and 5th is also the conservatory in Central Park. And so during the summer, or I would say spring to fall months, that we go down there a lot and we kind of just have like a walking club and we converse kind of about like our wants and needs for life and stories about life. But we also go on a lot of trips. Just recently, we were down in Tribeca for the day, and it was super nice. And I just like for them to explore not only Manhattan, but Brooklyn, and Queens. We have a lot of trips. We have our own bus in house as well. And then arts and crafts wise, we do a lot of like pottery, but it's actual real pottery with the wheel and everything like that.
Wow.
And we do sewing. We have a baking club upstairs in our private dining area in the kitchen. We also have photography club. We have professional photographer Rebecca Wester come in once a month and she administers those activities with them and
Mhm.
they go on walks throughout East Harlem and they just take pictures of, certain statues, certain buildings, the park, things like that that points out to them. But yeah, those are just some of the activities that we have.
And that's great. I can imagine if a senior is by themselves, this would be a nice way for them to be able to be in a facility that will allow for them to have extracurricular activity, meet people, meet friends, and the like. And Kia, you've done some work with art, actually art and both as far as printed artwork and as far as being an entertainer because you've done some singing and things like that. But when you were in college, you did some curating work, and when you were here, you did some curating work. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I did a curatorial internship at a museum called the Tang Teaching Museum. It is located on the campus of Skidmore College, but they are two separate establishments. And we were researching about a collaborative exhibition with Black Dimensions in Art. And they are an organization that represents Black artists in the capital region. So we wanted to learn about their history and the exhibitions that they've held in the past. And that exhibition is actually up right now. I think it's going to be up until the end of December.
Hmm. And you were working with a gallery downtown at one point too.
Yes, I worked at a gallery in Midtown. Um, I don't believe they have opened yet, but I
Mhm.
worked on inventory and working with the gallery owner's collection and pricing them, also researching the artist's background, and making write-ups for labels for the artwork.
And as it relates to taking Leanna, um, how many seniors do you take like on these trips? I mean, I know when the young people they're walking and they have something that holds them together so they don't stray aside. And then But how do you? I'm sure you must have a couple of people to be with you. How many people in your staff has to be with you when you take a trip, and how many? What's the number of seniors that usually are on the trip?
So our bus holds 6 residents sitting and then 2 residents if they were in a wheelchair, and then we have the driver and then the passenger.
Hmm.
Usually it's myself and then one of my assistants will come with me on the trip, but sometimes it's just me by myself and the driver. I would say we would usually have around 6 residents, 4 to 6 residents on average go to the trip. And sometimes we have residents who like we have like 10 residents that want to go on the trip, so we double up the trip and we'll repeat it for them. But it's very nice because I like to be prepared, so I have a whole process of kind of just like the night before, the day before the trip, make sure like everyone is eligible to go, they're able to with their walker or if they can just walk on their own. But it's very nice because it's a good way to break away from the facility for a bit and just explore the city. And it's really cool actually when we're on the trips. And there's this one resident who consistently goes on the trips, and we always drive by her old apartment.
Mm.
And so she always points it out, and she's very like well versed in the neighborhood. And she's actually in West Harlem. So
Hmm.
she was on West 98th and Central Park. Yeah, so it's cool. The trips usually though I'm by myself, but it's all manageable because everyone is pretty self-sufficient on their own and they're distracted, so I'm good. Otherwise, if they get bored, then that's when I'm in trouble.
When you get, yeah, I can imagine. I saw some of that today, and they're
Yes.
very to the point. And I'm
Yes.
beginning to be that way too. I'm a senior now, so you don't have to tell me when I should do anything. You young whippersnapper, do what I tell you to do. But uh, it's really, as Kia was indicating, and what I was able to observe today, it's very rewarding. It's kind of you need patience, but to see them and the gratitude that they have for someone taking the time to help them, it's a good thing. And I guess it's a good thing to be able to do this around the holidays also, because this is something that may be even incorporated in Kia in some of the things that you're going to do on our last session to create some games or something where we can have prizes or something to celebrate getting through the 8 sessions. But I'm really thankful for the Citizens Committee for giving us the opportunity to do this, with the hope that it becomes a pilot that we will be able to duplicate in some of the other locations, because it's something that's needed. It's something that I need. I have my phone, and I know how to answer a phone and do some texts, but there's just so many things that I'm sure that I don't know it can do, and I'm sure that that's with most people. So a program like this is not only for boomers; it's for a lot of people who may have to understand or be updated as it relates to what they're doing. Give us the address if someone wants to find out more about Vista on Fifth. What would they do?
You can look us up online on Google, Vista on Fifth, but it's the number 5 and then TH. And then our address is 1261 Fifth Ave. So, like I said, right between 107th and 108th on Fifth Ave. Prime location. I'm very jealous. Some of the apartment views are, oh my goodness, so nice.
Yeah, Fifth Avenue is right across from the park. I can imagine at some point maybe we'll go up and look at that view.
Yes, definitely. Maybe we could do the last class upstairs in the private dining room. It's very nice up
That
there.
sounds like it's a good idea. Kia, what are some? I know that you had some ideas of what you wanted to do in some of the latest sessions, but what are some of the things that you would like to accomplish out of this exercise?
I think it would be very nice to hear about the seniors' experiences in New
Mhm.
York City or in Harlem, and to hear about how their perception of New York City may have changed over the years. I know Liliana mentioned there are some people that were here for 20 years, and that's pretty much my lifespan. So, um, yeah, and I think that um, having younger individuals help them with their technology that also live in New York City, a lot of them being in Harlem, it would be interesting to see like generational, the gap in generational perspectives of New York City and how it has impacted them.
Sounds interesting. And again, there are seven more sessions. There will be a combination of people that are younger who are still in college in many cases, like the young man, was it Ruben? Was his,
Mhm.
today, and he's looking to be a medical student. So, he was the things that he said that he wanted to study. I had no idea what he was talking about, but it's great to be able to have that generational learning concept. I believe that is a tremendous hope. So, um, any well, there's one final thing I would like you to do besides what you might also want to do, Leanna, is to give again the address, the phone number, the website for Vista and Five, and then if there are any parting thoughts that you might want to share, please do so.
Yeah, of course. So our address is 1261 Fifth Avenue. You could look us up on Google, Vista on Fifth, but it's 5th. Sometimes people spell it out and it's a different place. And then you can find our directory. You can talk to admissions, concierge, or administration. If you wanted to chat with me, my extension's also on there. It's 5153. But yeah, that's just a little bit about how to reach us. If you're interested in touring the facility, definitely ask to speak to admissions. Kyle, our director of admissions, is fantastic and he gives really good tours. So if you're open just to see what the building's about, stop on by for sure.
And Kia, any thoughts that you might want to share before you go into your next journey?
I'm looking forward to continuing this project
Mhm.
and see what we can accomplish in the next few weeks.
And one of the things, Kia, you can give a shout out to Lucille's. You know?
Yes. I also work at a jazz bar. We have open jam sessions Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Totally come check it out. It's right by the last stop on the 3 train on 150th and Macomb Street. So,
Called
yeah.
Lucille, and the owner is a member of the chamber, Matthew Trebek, whose dad was relatively famous, uh, Alex Trebek, and Matthew has two restaurants, uh, and sometimes I understand I've never was there when Kia was invited to sing, but every so often, she actually is part of the show. So again, Lucille's is a really nice place, and you might like that yourself, if you
I
ever.
know, I just wrote it down that I want to check it out for sure.
Yeah,
I love jazz bars, so that's kind of what my nights consist of. I like music, ambiance, no,
See,
nothing
that's
too
how life is.
crazy.
You start off at one thing and you never know
That's
what how
true.
life brings you. That's as I say, that's showbiz.
Yes,
Well,
definitely.
well, Kia, Lillian, thank you very
Thank
much, both of
you.
you, for sharing what's is happening with Vista at Fifth. I'm not sure whether Reggie was able to get on, but I will talk a little bit about what he's doing if he's not there. The other person who's not here is Richard, who is uh, Adolfo, who is one of the authors of the Citizens Committee grant. And we'll probably do another sum up show just to talk about what took place and let people know kind of like a report. This was the first day, so maybe in January we might come back and maybe one or two of the seniors might even talk about what they learned and how they were able to benefit from it. So
Yeah, they would love that.
so and we'll make sure that you get a copy of this so that they can see it. Now, I don't remember the names. I want to give a shout out to uh, some of the seniors who were there. There was one lady who had 5 different computers.
That's Miss Lisa. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to try to fix one. There was another lady, which I just thought Ruben worked with her well. She was deaf, and she was learning how to use her flip. What do you call those phones? The
Flip phone, yes.
Yeah, which I have no idea. I'm even past that. That's beyond me. But he was showing her how to do it. And then there was another lady who was reading everything that we were talking about. I thought she was sleeping, but she was listening to the conversation on her computer.
Yes.
I'm glad I didn't say anything bad.
Right.
Because she was listening to everything. And so I think that the word, what's the lady in the red dress who was pretty proficient with her?
Miss Debbie, yes.
Yeah, Miss Debbie. So Miss Debbie said, "Don't worry, I'll spread the word. I'll let people know that they should come."
Yes, I like to joke around and say she's our town crier. She always comes to like the new activities and she'll dip her toes in it, and then she tells everybody, "Oh, you have to come to this activity." Or if she doesn't like the activity, she'll say that she doesn't like it. Don't go to it. So,
Well,
mixed reviews.
I think we made a pretty good impression.
Yes, definitely.
But Vista on Fifth, a wonderful location, a place that should be checked out if you are looking to have residents that will allow for you to do a lot of stuff. You have to go out. You got bakeries, you got all kind of stuff inside, and it's right across the Fifth Avenue.
It's
and
perfect
Kia,
spot.
I'm glad this is probably the first time you saw your commercial. It shows you again how long Soul City has been around and WACR has been around, because you were kind of little. Pretty soon I might have to start giving you residuals for your voice. But take care, both of you.
Thank you.
I'll be out of town for a while, but I look forward to see all of the things that you guys accomplished when I come back in. So you take care.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. So I'm not sure whether Reggie, we'll probably have to do another show with Reggie talking about boomers in tech. He was having some difficulties getting on, but what Reggie has done is developed a e-magazine, and it's called the Green Apple Guide, and that was based on, or it was actually a tribute to Hugo Green. And those who are a little older, you might remember the Green Book. And Hugo Green was in the Postal Service, and he was able to look at various things that were happening across the country as far as people traveling, especially people traveling from the South to the North during the Jim Crow era. And many of you who are old enough know that the Jim Crow era was kind of a dangerous place to travel and you're not knowing where you're going. So in the Green Book, he would write and tell people about the places that they can stay, the hotels that they can stay in, the hotels that would be receptive, and he would then allow for people to feel comfortable in their journeys. Most of the people started driving at that time, so driving, especially even at night in the South, was not where things might be able to be. But I'm not sure. But I got a text. Is Reggie Taylor on? If he is, please let him come on if he's backstage, because I do want him to give a little bit of information about the Green Apple Guide. So anytime he's able to do that, just have him pop up and we will talk to him. Again, we're talking about technology, and sometimes it does not always. Even before technology, there was this thing called Murphy's Law, So especially, and Murphy loves technology because there's all kinds of things that fall through the cracks when you're trying to put things together. And I don't feel bad about that, because even Bill Gates has had some tech problems when he was doing presentations. So it's something that is part of this new experience that we are dealing with in technology. But nevertheless, the Green Book is a wonderful way to allow for tourists to understand, similar to what happened with Hugo Green, the places in Harlem where people go to eat, people go, things to do. What are the things about the magazine? There he is.
There I am.
There he is.
I've been here the whole time.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I didn't say anything bad. But this is Reggie Taylor, and I was doing the Sandman thing, dancing, trying to bring up stuff. But tell us, Reggie, give a brief understanding of who you are, and tell us a little bit about the Green Apple Guide.
Yes, thanks for the introduction. Now, I was sorry I didn't get a chance to meet Kia and your other guests, but I was there for their input, and it's very impressive. I enjoyed that very much and look forward to working with them on some of the sessions going forward. But yes, as Tony mentioned, I'm an author. I'm a journalist. I have a background in marketing, branding, and public relations. I'm a member of the Harlem Tourism Board. I have the title of Creative in Residence, and more recently, editor-in-chief of the Green Apple Guide that Tony is the publisher of. And as Tony mentioned, it's based on the work of a genius Harlemite, Victor Hugo Green, who actually created the original Green Book when automobile ownership was skyrocketing in the 30s, and people of color, Black folk, were owning a lot of cars, but venturing into a lot of places where they were not always welcome, and in some cases was actually dangerous, particularly as Tony mentioned, when they were traveling down south. So he used a lot of information he was able to glean from the Postal Service in terms of places where a Black motorist could get gas, could have lodging, get meals, just use the bathroom as they motored between New York City and down south. And it became a real hit. It was a real big deal. The company that we now know as Exxon, back in the day was called Esso, ESSO. It was owned by the Rockefeller family. And they actually supported his work, and they actually made the Green Book available in Esso gas stations up and down the East Coast. So that was a big major hit. But it became so popular that Mr. Green expanded his offerings in the book, not just for gasoline and lodging, but actually looked for other places, beauty parlors, barbershops, bars, nightclubs, and other kinds of amenities and attractions that Black people can enjoy. So they actually built the foundation for a Black tourism industry, for a Black hospitality industry almost 100 years ago.
And your thoughts as to the Green Apple Guide, and how will that be a complement to the work that Mr. Green did with the Green Book?
Absolutely. So the title of our in-house publication at the Harlem Tourism Board is called the Green Apple Guide. It pays homage to Mr. Green, and actually make sure that we get that apple in there to define Harlem. But so
you got to tell a little bit about the story about that too.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be glad to. But the way the emphasis of the Green Apple Guide is to do two things. We want to let people that travel, that have an interest in, that come to New York, we want to steer more of that traffic uptown. And so we want to let people know a lot of the legacy of Harlem that they may not be familiar with. They may be familiar with, Malcolm X, and not even in any depth. They may be familiar with, some of the big personalities that came out of Harlem. But the history of Harlem goes far, far deeper than that in terms of the movements that have passed through Harlem. Marcus Garvey's movement, not just Malcolm X, the personality, but Malcolm X's movement. Adam Clayton Powell. There's just a lot of history there that people will want to consume before we lose it. And the other thing we want to do is we want to expand on what Harlem is to people. Tony developed an ingenious program called The City Within a City, because a lot of people think, Harlem, might assume that Harlem begins and ends on 125th Street. But Harlem, Greater Harlem, has over 600,000 people, between Central Park and the border to the Bronx on the north end of Greater Harlem.
From 90th Street to 179th Street, from river to river, actually.
Exactly, and that's correct. And there's so much legacy there, so much history there, that we want people to experience all of that. We want people who reside within the Greater Harlem areas, and those are community boards 9, 10, 11, and 12. We want more of those people to intermingle with each other. So we're developing an app that one of our members is working on. We're developing an app that will emphasize the app in the Green Apple Guide. And we want the Green Apple Guide and our app to work in tandem to expound on what Harlem has to offer to visitors.
Which is both will be a tremendous economic development opportunity for those who are there. One of the things that I thought was very interesting, you have many of, as far as the sponsors on the first publication, you have many of the bus companies. And I think that you gave me a number of how many people of color use the bus to come to New York.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. And I think it's an underrepresented tool that can be used to expand visitorship to Harlem, because there are 6 major bus carriers. I won't name them all now, but there are 6 major bus carriers that are transporting visitors. We looked at 250 miles north and 250 miles south. So that would encompass from Washington, D.C. to the south to Boston to the north. And those bus companies are delivering, transporting over 100 bus loads of people to New York City, to Manhattan every day. And that calculates to about 5,000 visitors per day. And that extrapolates out to 1.8 million visitors per year. That's a lot of folks that those 6 bus companies are bringing to Manhattan. So what we're doing, I've been in touch with those 6 carriers, and we're working out a collaboration where the Green Apple Guide will advertise their bus services, and in exchange, they will carry the link to our Green Apple Guide on their websites when people go to look for their services or check their schedules. So what we're hoping to do is more of that traffic, more of those 1.8 million people that they deliver to Manhattan annually. We want to get more of those people north of 110th Street. So that's the strategy.
Well, that's good. And we have a couple of more minutes, and I want you just to talk briefly about another project that you introduced at the Harlem Tourism Board Summit during Harlem Week, Harlem being the birthplace of the Big Apple.
That is correct. Harlem is, in fact, the birthplace of the Big Apple. And that's a largely unknown fact, but it is a fact that the nickname, the New York City nickname, the Big Apple, originated as just organic Harlem slang over 100 years ago. It was something that was exclusively discussed by people of color in Harlem, and it eventually got out. Largely had a lot to do with the jazz, I can't call it an industry, but the jazz culture of the 20s and 30s. Just like right now, music, a lot of popular concepts are exposed to the larger population through music, and that's what this one took. But interestingly, one musician in particular, Cab Calloway, the former master of ceremonies at the Cotton Club, Mr. Calloway took it a step further, and he was the first Black person in the United States to publish a dictionary. And the dictionary that he published was actually a glossary of slang terms in 1938. And on page 1, under Apple, the Big Apple was the first time that the Big Apple in print was in print to describe New York City. And that publication, the Hepster's Dictionary, sold over 2 million copies worldwide between 1938 and 1944. And that's how the rest of the globe got exposed to New York as the Big Apple.
And he specifically talked about Harlem as the apple, which
that's right,
is how Harlem became throughout the world, because many people couldn't take books out of the library at that time.
That's right. I'm glad you segued to that, because at the same time that he sold over 2 million copies of this book worldwide, at the same time, the New York Public Library, this book was so popular that the New York Public Library adopted the Hepster's Dictionary as the official slang dictionary for the city of New York. And as I'd mentioned before, this was, around 1940, after it'd been out a year or two. And this book was primarily being borrowed not by people of color, because people of color in the 30s and 40s could not just walk into any library, even in New York City, and borrow a book. So that's how a larger part of the non-white the non-Black population of New York City learned about the Big Apple that was going on in their own cultural environment by borrowing this book from the library. But one thing I want to get in before we have to jump off is part 2 of how the Big Apple just became so worldwide famous. And that was about 50 odd years ago, another Harlemite, a woman this time, by the name of Gwen Barrett. Gwen Barrett, at the age of about 21 years old, was working at Channel 5 in Midtown. She was given the task of trying to come up with some kind of concept or some kind of theme to try to salvage the tourism industry, which was affected by a terrible crime spree that was happening in New York City at the time. And Gwen Barrett looked at her Harlem roots. She dug into her Harlem roots, and she came up with what else but the Big Apple. And Gwen Barrett introduced that concept to her employees at Channel 5. They introduced it to the then New York Convention and Visitors Bureau, who shared it with City Hall, and the rest is history, except that most of us don't know who Gwen Barrett is. So Harlem has an entrenched history where the development of the Big Apple was concerned. And I think that, we being Harlem, I think we need to recapture that, and I think we need to promote that to try to, beef up tourism and visitorship in Harlem by using the same Big Apple concept that the city has used for 5 decades.
So we got the Green Book, which was popular. That we got the Green Apple Guide, and then we have Harlem, the birthplace of the Big Apple. And I know you have T-shirts and all of that stuff that people can obtain. And we are heading into 2026 with a lot of history and a lot of fundraising and economic development opportunities that people in the village of Harlem, one of the most famous urban areas in the world, and has been that way for some time. So again, Reggie, I appreciate you taking some time. And one of the things, I know that it'll be a monthly publication, but you also indicated that you will start posting different excerpts on the Harlem Tourism Board website. So
absolutely, yes, Tony. What it's a monthly publication, but we'll be changing content on a weekly basis. So we'll be taking down some content and adding new content so that the publication does not become stale over the course of a month. Because a month is a long time to have the same material. So we're going to be swapping out material and upgrading and changing some of the content on a weekly basis. And one last thing I meant to mention, and this is very important, the segment that you just did prior to my coming on, as far as the boomers are concerned. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you asked Kia, one of the things that Kia said, you asked her, what did she like about it? And she said she liked the idea of sharing the stories and sharing the histories of some of the seniors that are participating, some of the older Harlemites that are participating in the program. And that segues into a conversation that we had recently, how I explained how the Green Apple Guide can be used for that purpose.
Because have a boomers and tech section so that we can.
Yeah, exactly. We have a boomers and tech section, but one of the things we want to get out of it is not only how they're learning, but that is a device for them to be able to communicate some of their own histories and some of their own stories, some of their own take on historical events that happened in Harlem that they were present for, they observed, or they had firsthand experiences from someone in their family. We want to get in as much history in the guide as we can to make it more of a community resource that people can all relate to.
Well, Reggie, 2026 looks to be an interesting time. I hope that your energy, because when you look at this guide, I was saying, Reggie, you gotta, I don't know how you're going to do all of this stuff, but you tell me that you have loads of research that you could kind of apply to this.
Yeah. That's.
Before I let you go, you have a book that I'm interested in. You have a book about the stabbing of Martin Luther King in Harlem and Bloomstein, right? What's the name of the book?
Do. There's a link in the Green Apple Guide. The book is for sale on Amazon, and there's a link in the Green Apple Guide that could direct people there. But that's one of the reasons. Yes, I do have tons of research. We will never run out of content to be able to share in the Green Apple Guide about anecdotes and little known history about Harlem, people and places. But in this book, that is one of the that's what sparked the idea. Because when I was researching the book on Martin Luther King's near assassination in Harlem in 1958 at Blumstein's department store. Bloomstein. Thank you for the correct. At Bloomstein's, I actually spoke to a bunch of people in the course of doing the research, and people actually had recollections of it. If they didn't have a direct recollection of it, they had a firsthand account of it from people in their families. And it was happened on a Saturday, and it was said it was one of the worst Saturday nights in Harlem history, not knowing if Harlem would have the reputation for the murder of Martin Luther King. by a person of color in Harlem. And they said that it was a really, really gloomy Saturday night in Harlem until he was out of the woods. So it's those kinds of stories that we want to.
What's the name of the book, Reggie?
The name of the book is called Uptown One Saturday Night. Uptown One Saturday Night.
Okay.
And it's available on Amazon. And like I said, there's a link to it in the Green Apple Guide. And the Green Apple Guide is free of charge. Anybody can get the link. We're going to make the link available on the Harlem Tourism Board website for anybody that has. And there's just a lot of information there. There's a lot of information in there on very, very well-known people, very little-known facts about very well-known people, and vice versa.
Yeah, I was reading your facts about Bumpy Johnson. People didn't know about.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information. We want to encourage people to read more. We want to encourage people, particularly younger people. They're used to getting their content in small bites. So many characters or so many bytes. So we want to present it in that context to make sure that people are more inclined to read it.
Well, thank you so much, Reggie. We're looking forward to doing more collaborations with Boomers and Tech and actually allowing for people to have a lot more information about the Green Apple Guide. I think that's going to be an interesting way to go into 2026. There's a lot of stuff happening. The 250th anniversary of New York City, the 130th anniversary of the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, the 100th anniversary of Savoy. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of material for you as far as the past and also as far as the future. The Civil Rights Museum, the Studio Museum, and National Black Theater, and that's only in Central Harlem, not to mention what's happening in the other components of the Greater Harlem area. So we should have a lot of information that we will be able to share. And thank you for your service, brother. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well. You mentioned birthday. This would have been the 100th birthday of Malcolm X this year. This is also the 65th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X this year. And Cab Calloway graduated from high school 100 years ago in 1925.
And speaking of Malcolm X, at some point, as I had mentioned to you before, I'm going to connect you to A.P. LaBelly, who actually developed the newsletter for Malcolm's organization once he left the nation. And he's also a historian. So putting you two together, I'm sure that we'll get some real interesting things.
Looking forward to it, Thomas. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it. And
that
pretty much closes out our show. I will be in Ghana for the next 2 weeks. I think my next show, I'll be back for probably the 23rd, just before the holidays. But we're doing some things in northern Ghana, and there are a lot of wonderful opportunities that are taking place. And as you might know, I am now the chief of a village of Manule, and I'm excited to see what that means. We're talking to developers to start looking at how that might happen. And we're also developing an exchange program, which is part of our summit that took place during Harlem Week, the Cultural Tourism Summit. We had His Excellency, His Majesty Jennifer II come up to talk about relationships that he wanted to make sure that we had between Harlem and northern Ghana. And one of those relationships, we're actually this week starting conversations with the University of Development Studies in northern Ghana and the City College of New York to begin to develop programs, exchange programs with faculty educational information and the like. So there's a lot of stuff happening. 2026 should be a very interesting year, as always. And I have put out a word, and I'm trying to make sure the last Soul City show of the year that I have Lloyd Strayhorn to come on. This is a tradition where he comes on and gives some predictions about 2026. So stay tuned. Thank you, Matt McCoy and Jasmine and Yana and all of the crew from Soul City for providing this platform. And this is Tony Rogers. I'll see you in about 2 weeks. Take care. Bye.
This is Kier Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.